Every city has its own legendary beings, be it giants, dwarfs, or fairies. But not in many cities you will hear a story of an artificial man. Alchemists would call such a man homunculus. A man like that was created in Prague's Jewish quarter and was called in Hebrew, Golem. The Jewish quarter in Prague was a small area with not a favorable position. On one side, it was surrounded by the Vltava River, which would always flood. On the other side, it was surrounded by the Christian Old Town. The Christians living in the Old Town were almost always eager to get rid of the Jewish population, and often pogroms happened. The worst pogrom took place in the year 1389, when 3,000 Jews were slaughtered. And it was mainly as a protection against Christians, the legends say, that Golem was created. Around the year 1580, a magical ritual took place. Rabbi Lev, a religious philosopher, teacher and mystic, together with a group of helpers, mixed virgin soil with a streaming water and from a clay created a form that closely resembled the human one. Afterwards, they walked around the soulless figure in circles, whispering secret formulas, and Golem was brought to life. The word Golem comes from Hebrew and it has different meanings. Unfinished product, something imperfect, ancient substance in which the planet Earth was created, human without a soul, or a being that was created by magical means. The ritual was successful and Golem was working. They had successfully created an artificial man. There was though a little problem. To activate Golem, a magical scroll had to be given to Golem's mouth. One day during Sabbath, Rabbi Lev went into the old new synagogue and was about to start singing 92nd Psalm, when a crowd of people rushed in, telling the rabbi that Golem went crazy and was destroying everything that came to his sight. Rabbi Lev had forgotten to deactivate him before the religious ceremony started and did not take the magical scroll known as Shem out of his mouth. Rabbi Lev rushed to deactivate the Golem, and then he continued with the ceremony. But something was clear. Golem had become a danger to the society, and something had to be done. So they realized that the best option was to store it somewhere that no one ever was going to touch it again. And that place was the most sacred place from the Jewish quarter, the attic of the old new synagogue. And they store it there, and he has been sleeping inside of the attic ever since. Or is he? The story of Golem is one of the most fascinating parts of Prague's history. Travelers that join our tours always ask us, was it real? And to be honest, we don't know the answer. In centuries, only a handful of people managed to get to the attic. And only in the 20th century, few expeditions took place. Sorry to disappoint you guys. They found nothing. Which brings about a lot of speculations. Was Golem really created? Why didn't Rabbi Lev leave any written mention about Golem? And why was he kept in such a secrecy? Was it because they wanted to hide the existence of such a creature from the Christians? The story of Golem was covered in many movies, notably the French-Czechoslovak co-production of a movie, Golem, or a Czech fairy tale called Císařův pekař, Pekařův císař. It is because of this fairy tale that the idea of how Golem looked was changed. People now imagine it as it was displayed in the fairy tale, large, strong and scary. But Golem was actually supposed to look like a real human, with only one difference, that he was made out of clay. Some people say that Golem never existed, that it was only real in the minds of its original creators that took part in the ritual that created him. Perhaps the closest to this version is Gustav Meyrink's book, Golem, in which Golem didn't have a particular shape. He was there, and at the same time he wasn't. But he affected the characters' lives. Whatever the truth with Golem is, we will never find out. But one thing might be interesting to consider. If Golem was created to look like a real human and was never found in the attic of the synagogue, what if he still lives till today among us?